Hello, I'm Amy Zaley with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, June 5th. Kudos to Germany. They were the first member of the European Union to officially declare that BDS, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement, is indeed anti-Semitic. Keep in mind that BDS weeks and rallies events occur on U.S. college campuses, public and private, throughout the West. As well, public figures such as Roger Waters actively engages with artists and performers to engage in BDS. U.S. elected members to Congress, such as AOC, Tlaib, and Omar, also participate in BDS. Other figures, such as Linda Sarsour, who have a podium in the U.S. under some guise of being a feminist, also toes the BDS line with more fervor than her feminism, which is an irony unto itself, but a completely different discussion. On May 17th, the anti-Israel boycott, divest, and sanction movement is anti-Semitic, so declares the German Bundestag in a landmark vote. It called on governmental bodies not to finance or support any organizations that support BDS or questions Israel's right to exist. The resolution is titled "Resisting the BDS Movement Decisively, Fighting Anti-Semitism." Quote, "The argumentation patterns and methods used by BDS movement are anti-Semitic." Unquote. I don't think it could be any clearer. The motion is also noted that calling for Israeli products to be labeled with "Don't Buy" stickers in order for Europeans and Germans not to buy them is reminiscent of Nazi-era boycott Jewish businesses, an era called the Juden boycott. Slogans such as "Don't buy from Jews" were prominent throughout the land. The direct correlation between the "Don't Buy Israeli products" and the "Don't buy from Jews" from 75 years ago, of course, is being drawn. Chancellor Angela Merkel's government Christian Democratic Union Party submitted the resolution together with the Social Democratic Party, the Green Party, and the Free Democratic Party. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Foreign Affairs Erdogan praised the measure and thanked the German parliament directly. Interestingly, lawmakers from the far-right Alternative for Germany party abstained during the vote. They had submitted their own motion calling for a total ban of BDS in Germany. That motion was defeated. More interestingly, a majority of the far-left Die Linke party voted against the motion, not just abstained. They also submitted their own proposal, which called to oppose BDS and commit the German government to work towards a political solution to the Arab-Israeli parliament, specifically based on the UN Council's resolution. This motion was also defeated. Meanwhile, back in America on the left coast, a University of San Francisco or San Francisco State University professor was visiting UCLA, and it caused quite a ruckus even among UCLA students who have had their fair share of anti-Israel bias. Leave it to San Francisco University Rabab Abdulhadi to offend students, both Jewish and otherwise, at UCLA. Back in May, she was a guest lecturer, and students were told the attendance was mandatory and the topic would be Islamophobia. Speaking to the students at the UCLA anthropology in the department, anthropology professor Park's Constructing Races class equated colonialism to Zionism and white supremacy, and she only supported Jews as long as they opposed Israel's existence. This particular professor also reduced one Jewish female student to tears. Some students snapped their fingers in support of the comments, but others felt it veered directly into anti-Semitism. One letter, a Jewish Zionist who confronted her during the lecture and noted that the white supremacy comparison was spiritless. African American students also issued an email statement afterwards noting that the criticism against a foreign government should not target individuals or religious groups. During the lecture, Professor Abdulhadi asked the dissenting students to please allow her a, quote, scholar, activist, and public intellectual as one that she should continue to talk. Now, this is in complete contrast to pro-Israel speakers who've come to campus who have to try to fight through active shouting down during their speeches. However, the students did respect her wishes and allow her to continue to speak, but several students issued formal complaints after it, noting it as, quote, hate speech, and filing complaints at the Discrimination Prevention Office. Students need to better allow for free speech on all sides of an issue, but when anti-Israel professors discriminate under the guise of being academic leaders, there will probably be some blowback. Not only that, the Palestinian Authority is now submitting their complaints to the UN, specifically UNESCO and the World Travel and Tourism Council, to take legal and moral action against Israel's archaeological excavations in the, quote, occupied Palestinian lands. They are noting that the Israelis are violating international law by taking artifacts from the land. Now, let me try to explain what this is really all about. If you are, first of all, the Israeli Archaeological Society and ministries and the people that work therein have a sincere and extremely methodical process and desire to preserve history and discover truth from artifacts. They are not looking to skew or create an agenda from it, but to find out what they can find out. They are, of course, finding out that the things unearthed in all these areas are indeed Hebrew or Jewish in nature. This undermines the idea that the Israelis or the Jews are quote-unquote occupiers if they're digging up their own artifacts from the dirt. As well, you cannot, this will undermine the PA's narrative that this is their land and that the Jews are not indigenous to it. Kind of a parallel that I was thinking about is the Native American community in America. Of course, that history with oppression is much shorter than the Jewish people's expulsion and persecution in their land, but it's still hundreds of years old. Now, if we had Native Americans who were removed from their land for various reasons, some may have voluntarily left, some may have been forced out, whatever the case may be, and then through some way they return to that land, either through legally buying up property through a land transaction, which is exactly what a lot of European Jews did to relocate back to Israel, and or through various governmental laws and agreements that allow them to return to the land. Of course, not asking anybody to leave, just letting them back in. If we started to say that those Native Americans could not start digging with proper archaeological processes to see what's in the land because we were afraid that it would prove that they lived there and their ancestors lived there, this of course would be laughed down, and the world would tell all of the new inhabitants, let's just call them white Americans, to shut up and move over and let the Native Americans dig for their artifacts, reclaim their heritage, and do their research, especially after the generations of ill treatment that they received. Now, this, of course, is a loose parallel and not exact, but it certainly gives you a picture of the point. That the term occupy cannot be banted around if the Israelis are pulling their own history out of the ground. Therefore, they are not foreigners. And the PA will literally lose their narrative. And it is important that all the people in the discussion for peace and coexistence at least recognize truth and history for what it is, whether they like it or not. The only reason the PA is appealing to the UN and UNESCO is to preserve their lies. Think about this. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.